The school that wasn't there, a ghostly classroom story. Some towns don't make the news. They're not famous. Not dangerous. Just ordinary. But even the quietest places hide secrets. Like the town of Ellensgrove. Concern spread fast. Parent after parent realized something disturbing: their children weren't attending any of the known local schools. No buses picked them up. No staff remembered their names. No attendance logs. No school photos. But every child had the same story. We walked there. It's just past the dead trees. It's old, but Miss Holloway says we make it feel alive again. One father, Tom Jensen, decided to follow his daughter, Lily. He waited in the car, saw her walk out the door, and followed from a distance. She walked past the park, past the hill, then toward the woods. But then, she vanished. Gone. In broad daylight. He panicked. Drove in circles. Called the police. And at 3:04 p.m., she walked through the front door, smiling, covered in ash. It was peaceful. Families knew each other. Neighbors shared pies and tools. Kids played till sunset. And every morning, children walked to school. Book bags bouncing. Laughter in the air. Except, one day, a mother noticed something strange. She asked her son what he learned in school that day. And he replied, "Miss Holloway said we should never be forgotten again." She paused. Who's Miss Holloway? They brought in school officials. Psychologists. Nothing helped. Every child drew the same school in crayon: a tall, blackened building. Bell tower. Cracked windows. A woman with gray hair and a long blue dress. Miss Holloway. She told them stories. Gave them candy. Said she'd always protect them. That they were hers now. One girl whispered during a counseling session. Miss Holloway says the fire wasn't her fault. Fire? There hadn't been a fire in Ellensgrove for decades. Until someone checked old town records. And found it. In 1987, a school on the edge of town caught fire. 22 children died. Trapped inside. The teacher, Eleanor Holloway, stayed behind. And burned with them. Locals had tried to forget. The building was demolished. The story buried. But Miss Holloway remembered. And now, she was building her classroom again. One student at a time. But the question was, where? Parents tried following. Filming. Nothing showed on camera. Dogs wouldn't go past the dead trees. At night, strange lights flickered in the forest. A distant bell rang. Sometimes, you could hear children singing lullabies that no one taught them. A group of teens dared to enter. Only one returned. He never spoke again. He just scribbled the same phrase over and over. She took their names so we'd never forget again. One day, Tom Jensen had enough. He followed Lily again. But this time, he didn't stop at the woods. He stepped through the veil. And what he saw should have been impossible. A school stood tall. Scorched but standing. Children played in the ash. Bells rang. And at the steps, she stood. Miss Holloway. Her face was kind. Eyes hollow. She spoke without moving her lips. "You left us. All of you. But not anymore." Tom screamed. Grabbed Lily. Ran. They made it out. Barely. The next day, the forest path was gone. The dead trees. Now living. The bell. Silent. But something changed. Lily no longer remembered the school. Or Miss Holloway. None of the children did. As if they'd been released. And yet, every year, on the anniversary of the fire, the bell rings. Once. Some schools never close. Some teachers never leave. And some lessons never end. If your child ever mentions a school that no one else sees, don't ask too many questions. Because Miss Holloway is always looking for more students. The thing in the corner, the shadow that follows you. He never liked empty rooms. Not because they were lonely, but because they were never truly empty. His name was Arif Malik. A quiet man. An average man. Lived alone in a small apartment in New Jersey. Worked remotely. Ate alone. Slept light. But something followed him. Always in the corner of his eye. A shape. A flicker. Sometimes in the kitchen window. Sometimes just outside the bathroom. Never full. Never clear. Just there. He called it the thing in the corner. He told himself it was nothing. Lack of sleep. shadows, imagination. But deep inside, he knew better. One night, Arav sat watching late-night television. The room was dim. The screen flickered. And there it was again. In the corner. Still. Like a cutout made of smoke. It didn't move. It didn't blink. When he turned to face it, it was gone. But when he looked back at the TV, he saw it again. Reflected. Watching him. He stopped watching TV. Stopped using mirrors. Covered every corner with cloth. Slept with the lights on. But it never left. It just got closer. He began keeping a journal. Tracking when it appeared. Always after 11:07 p.m. Always in the left side corner of any room. He changed apartments. Moved to a different building. Different city. But the shadow followed. And then, the dreams began. He dreamed of another him, lying on the floor of a hospital room. Pale. Hollow. Mouth open in a silent scream. The dreams never changed. The body never moved. Except for the eyes. The dead version of him watched him every night. Desperate, Arav went to a psychologist. Dr. Lane Rhodes. Experienced. Logical. She listened. Took notes. Asked if anyone in his family had suffered delusions. He said no. She suggested stress, sleep paralysis, unresolved trauma. But he had none. She gave him sleep aids. Meditation tapes. Nothing worked. Then, during their third session, she said something strange. "Do you remember the accident, Arav?" He froze. "What accident?" "The one in 2019. The elevator malfunction. You said it crushed your ribs. You flatlined for 2 minutes." But he had no memory of that. None. He never told her that. "I didn't tell you that," he said. She looked confused. "Yes, you did. On the first day." That night, he pulled out every mirror. Every screen. Every reflective surface. He stood before his bathroom mirror and stared. And there, behind him, stood the thing in the corner. But this time, it wasn't just a shadow. It had his face. Exactly. Except its eyes were black. And bleeding. It smiled. And whispered. "You were never supposed to wake up." He collapsed. Memories rushing in. 2019. He'd been in an elevator. Alone. It fell 3 stories. His ribs crushed. His heart stopped. Doctors revived him after 2 minutes. But now he realized. The version of him that died that day. Never left. From that night on, he saw it clearly. Not always in the corner. Sometimes behind him. Sometimes beside him. The dead version of himself. Watching. Waiting. It didn't want revenge. It didn't want pain. It just wanted him back. To trade places. To finish what was started. So now, Arav doesn't sleep. Doesn't look in mirrors. Doesn't turn his back. Because he knows the thing in the corner is getting closer. Inch by inch. And when it finally touches him, only one of them will remain. Have you ever seen something in the corner of your eye, and no one else did? Next time. Don't look away.